It's not extreme conservatism. Most of what he's doing goes beyond and defies true conservatism. The spending that's being done, and the spending is largely on the wealthy by tax breaks. Sure. So in order to pay for those, you have to find the money. You literally cannot make the money to a certain extent. Although I wouldn't be surprised if Elon Musk was found in the National Treasury trying to warm up the $100 bill machine. But I think they fired everyone. There's no one to mint money. Recently, it was the OSHA, Organizational Safety Standards, that takes care of things like the 9/11 firemen and policemen that have suffered because of asbestos and other things. So things that really hit home.
This is the Policy Digest, a Center for Policy Analysis podcast that explores how African societies are governed and how people and their leaders are shaping the future of their communities. Through candid conversations and insightful analysis, we aim to provide a deeper understanding of the political, economic, and social landscape of Africa. So sit back, relax, and get ready to explore the diverse and dynamic world of African governance.
Welcome to the Policy Digest. On this very podcast, we're going to be looking into President Donald Trump's first 100 days in office. Now, on January the 20th, no one knew that the world would be going through so many whirlwinds just in 100 days, with over 143 executive orders, 42 proclamations, creations of Department of Government Efficiency, a lot of mass layoffs of staff from departments, cancelling of so many contracts, so many things that have happened in just 100 days. So we want to look into it. Today we're joined still by a U.S. citizen, but who lives in Uganda, who is the president of the Consolidation for Development. He's previously been on this podcast. I believe you have seen him before. His name is Nicholas Demeter, and you're most welcome.
Happy to be back.
Thank you very much. So I just wanted to start off just generally. What have been your highlights over the last 100 days of Trump in office?
It's like 3 years have passed.
It's like 3 years.
Everyone, I think when I was here last, we were trying to realize how much he did in the first 10 days, 5 days. And that's part of the strategy is shock and awe, and to just be out there constantly saying crazy things to detract from what is going on behind the scenes. And even though most people, I think, realize that's going on, they still can't. If the president of America says that children can just do without 30 Barbies dolls this Christmas, that they can only get 3, people have to report on that. You can't not report on it. Some have tried. Some TV shows like Jon Stewart or the night shows have said we're not even going to mention his name, but it's just, there's so much.
It's just so much. And you can't avoid it. Yeah.
And the mistake that the Democrats make is getting caught up in the contradiction. If Obama did this, if Biden did this thing, the Republicans would be, and you get locked up into this hypocrisy, and you can't focus on what needs to be done, and that is try to save any semblance of rule of law in the U.S.
I got you, and perhaps to just close that conversation, the Democrats have been, I don't know that it is strategically or politically silent over in his 100 days. What are they up to? I have maybe they're doing things in the background that I don't know about, but again, there's been quite a lot of silence.
It seems like a long time since you and I met, but it seems longer that Trump's been in office. I don't know how time shifts like that, but back then when we last met, over U.S. aid, the Democrats were strategically patient. That was a strategy. And my position then is, as it is now, is you have to stop it as soon as it starts. Otherwise, momentum builds. And I think whether it was the Democrats or public sentiment after U.S. aid, the layoffs continued, and they continue to this day. But that initial boost that was hoped to eliminate so many jobs kind of slowed down. So the Democrats would say they're working behind the scenes, but the only visibility you have is Bernie Sanders and Ocasio-Cortez. And Bernie has already stated he doesn't want to be president. So we could be looking at Cortez as the front runner. But that's so long.
Yeah.
So far from now. So we don't see a strategy, but then again, the Democrats don't have any majority. The Republicans hold the majority.
Yeah, I was about to ask. Yeah. The Republicans control the Congress, control the House of Representatives.
Simple majority. Simple majority. So things like the budget, they need Republican votes or they need Democrat votes. So this is why Chuck Schumer was lambasted by his own party when he approved Trump's budget. This is the one opportunity Democrats had leverage to hold Trump to account. But what Schumer understood, and I believe he was in the right, was that if there was a shutdown, it would remove people from government buildings that work there, and it would allow Trump to make it very easy to lock those doors. So the longer they held up the budget, the longer he'd be able to, circumvent the rule of law and remove those people. But he didn't, the senator didn't really explain that well to his colleagues. So there was a lot of angry people about that. And I think it could have been last minute. And I think it could possibly have been delivered by the president himself, saying, look, let's reject this bill and I'll lock all your people out when they leave, when they're furloughed, as normally happens every few years.
He's a businessman. He's always, I think he's quite bored about it. The art of the deal. He loves to ensure people in a specific place in order to get certain things. Just if we are to get back to even before 2017, so Trump sloganeers around making America great again. Later that becomes a movement. And it picks steam to even when, let's say, Joe Biden did win the election in 2020 and then leads to what is known as an insurrection, and later on picks steam again when Joe Biden chooses not to stand. Do you think that this is political theater? Do you find a lot of substance in the political policies that Trump is doing? Is it populist? Is it extreme conservatism? What do you read into the spirit?
Yes and no. It's not extreme conservatism. Most of what he's doing goes beyond and defies true conservatism. The spending that's being done. And the spending is largely on the wealthy by tax breaks. Sure. So in order to pay for those, you have to find the money. You literally cannot make the money to a certain extent. Although I wouldn't be surprised if Elon Musk was found in the National Treasury trying to warm up the $100 bill machine. But I think they fired everyone. There's no one to mint money. Recently, it was the OSHA, Organizational Safety Standards, that takes care of things like the 9/11 firemen and policemen that have suffered because of asbestos and other things. So things that really hit home. A lot of the government employees that Trump eliminated were Trump supporters. They were MAGA. But he's managed to convince everyone that, yes, egg prices are still high, and I promise to do something about that. But this suffering has a purpose, and he's managed to convince a majority.
That we may suffer in the short term.
You're right. And in the long term, things will pull through. But how this works with tariffs is he's either a mad genius or
tariffs.
Completely wrong. I mean, no economist would ever, I mean, I haven't found anyone. Like, he found someone that wrote many books on tariffs and supported this. And it was found out that author's major support and reference was a professor that didn't exist. It was actually an anagram of his name backwards. So it was just one person's thought that Trump was able to galvanize his policy around, but nobody understands it. Ulterior motives. There's a lot of corruption going on with the stock market up and down. It doesn't take a genius to know when to buy and when to sell. And if you're in the inner circle, you know exactly when to do this. But there's nobody around to persecute or prosecute those that are committing these crimes, insider trading and whatnot. So dismantling those apparatus is just textbook authoritarianism. So, and he's walking in broad daylight. This isn't happening under cover of night and cleverly and secretly. But the attacks on judges that he nominated, because they do their job.
Because they've disagreed with him?
Because they've disagreed with him, and they're doing their, obliging their oath to the Constitution, which recently Trump denied he had to follow. And that was a big, media fervor. But it's just what he says. It's what he does that we need to pay attention to. That's how the tariff policy got through without any approval from even his own party in Congress. So it's the actions that need to be monitored, not what he says. It's so easy to be distracted by the Barbie dolls that are not going to show up on shelves.
Leave the actual action. If we're to just put a pin in that and still relate that to, I think, the sentiment around America first, trade protectionism, America comes first, and with him pulling out of WHO, I think there's so many strings he has pulled back home. Do you think that's going to leave America stronger? Do you think America's outreach, as other regimes were doing, was making it stronger, and by him prioritizing an America first approach, that is going to make America less stronger?
Well, it's really value for money. He's recouping a lot of resources by pulling out of these institutions, and many would say that they're not effective. The UN has been criticized for the expensive salaries and overhead, but it's the best that we can do as an international consortium. USAID was criticized, and even when it was being dismantled, called corrupt and whatnot. But there's enough evidence over 60 years to show a lack of delivering on development and actually reversing development in many cases. So, but that's purely accident. It's not that he and Elon Musk really thought about it and felt American taxpayer dollars shouldn't be spent this way. The little that went to USAID. But all the other bilateral, multilateral relationships that had funding tied to them, it's been interesting to me and shocking to me just how intertwined we were and how dependent these multilaterals were on the U.S. So that if our budget stops, they have to downsize. Sometimes 50% of the budget's gone, sometimes 25%. Either way, people lose their jobs. It makes the news. And sometimes it's reversed if, nuclear silos are left abandoned or something like that. But for the most part, he's making a fresh start with government. But it's the scary part is that the attacks and the deportations are on critics. They're not supporters. No MAGA supporter has been deported yet. MAGA supporters have lost their jobs, but they haven't been deported.
Oh, yeah.
But a lot of people unjustly, because of the quota that he wants to have of deportations, are being sent to El Salvador to these mega prisons because they have tattoos on their hands that maybe relate to their parents or their dogs or something.
I saw a press conference with, I think it must have been like a framed picture of,
but it also,
you have this tattoo, therefore you need to be deported.
Right, because it's also aligns with a gang and
that kind of thing.
Looking for any kind of evidence. And these are ordinary people that are following these rules. These are Border Patrol, these are Customs and Immigration, and they want to keep their jobs, so they do what they're told. So recently there's been an effort by the law firms after Trump managed to silence the major critics and get them to agree to provide up to $1 billion now in free legal services. So that sends a message very clearly across the legal community: don't take on issues that are against Trump. And
either pro-immigration or
anything that could
anti-America first.
You could have someone fighting for their rights for Medicare or Medicaid. It doesn't make the president look good, so you don't take the case. And big law firms, for all the maybe nefarious deals they make, they also do a lot of pro bono work.
Sure.
And a lot of that is on issues that are very anti-Trump. So all of these things that he's pulling out of, on top of that, there's the threats and displacement. So there hasn't been a major reporter that has been deported, but smaller, bloggers, well-known podcasts and whatnot, if they have a background, and a lot of this data was collected during Musk in the early days, so you can find someone's status. Normally it's not that easy to find out if someone was an immigrant and how long they've been here, if there's some error in paperwork, but he has all that data, courtesy of Musk. So he has a very targeted ability to eliminate, silence his critics,
his opponents.
Yeah. So all the pieces are there. But to finish what I was saying about the legal community, they are starting to organize and put up a united front, because that's the only way.
That's the only way they engage him. Still talking about silencing criticism, one of the areas of society that produce criticism and create alternative structures the society should go forth is around academia. He went for Harvard, didn't he?
Yeah.
He went for Harvard's jugular.
Not a very well-educated man. He seems very comfortable coming in and telling them what to do. The endowment Harvard has gives them so much power that they're able to deflect it. And I think if he had gone to a lesser university, he could have done what he did to the law firms.
How big is the endowment?
It's hundreds of billions. You'd have to Google it, but it'd be a good little, infographic for your show.
I will see how to put it in. Yeah, sure.
It's shocking.
Because Harvard had a huge endowment, they said, "Okay, take your money."
Right. Because what he was threatening wasn't enough to silence them, and they knew how important it was that they take a stand, or it just steamrolls. So that was a high point, I guess. To see that.
I think even MIT did the same thing.
Yes. Once there's precedent, it's when you're alone, when no one's there to help you, and it's the end of your career, the end of your livelihood and the livelihood of your staff or whatever, then you'll make things in your self-interest and forgo the benefit to others. I don't blame them. Not everyone has the steel will to stand up against such incredible forces, but the power has been amassed in 100 days in a way no one has ever seen before.
Maybe so, if we're to close just the Harvard issue, if let's say Harvard and MIT and other institutions that they did reach out, if they had accepted his strong arming tactics, what would they be accepting?
Who to enroll? So any of the diversity hires and our diversity eligibility, any sort of basically diversity, and that's been on attack since the beginning. So that would be one. Soon that would slip into what the curriculum focuses on, changing history books, so a number of things. Once you're in, the infection can spread. Once you're in, it's hard to get them out. So, and that's what the law firms are experiencing. Like, they didn't think he was actually going to call on them for these billions of dollars and free. So now they're suffering financially because they got to put their best lawyers.
Billions and billions of dollars. Yeah. I think I think in the second segment.
And going after the judges.
Oh, yes. So you did mention
lawyers that don't even want to go against the judges, their colleagues and friends, but they're having to be forced in front of them to plead Donald Trump's case, which is usually very lacking. But
it's a hard sell.
They don't really work that hard.
Okay, Nicholas, we need to take a break.
Sure.
We need to take a commercial break. But I hope that starter was good enough for you, the audience. Now, in the second segment, we're going to look into how much power the rich people like Elon Musk have accumulated during Donald Trump's time, and what that means for freedom in the world. Thank you for listening to the Policy Digest podcast, the Center for Policy Analysis podcast that is profiling African ideas and people that are shaping the future of their communities. Subscribe to all our platforms on YouTube and Podbean.